Welcome to What You Need to Know About Voting, Part 2, Advanced Voting and Absentee Ballots. In this virtual presentation, we will be going over all the essentials you need to vote successfully and making sure your voting experience is as straightforward as possible. If you saw Part 1 last week, we're going to have this slide in every presentation because if you remember nothing about today, remember this. Every election is different. Polling places can change. This week, the county announced that they would add an additional advanced voting location at the Gwinnett County Fairgrounds. Because of COVID, in the spring, every registered voter was automatically sent an absentee ballot application. But for the November 3rd general election, if you want to vote absentee, you must request an absentee ballot either online or with a paper form. Finally, there will be more boxes around the county to submit your absentee ballot, including all 15 branches of the Gwinnett County Library system, where you can drop off your absentee ballot in a secure box and you don't have to pay postage. Remember, every election is different. By the end of this presentation, you will know the difference between advanced in-person voting and absentee ballots. The county has added one additional advanced voting location at the Gwinnett County Fairgrounds. We will show you where they are, the dates and times that they will be open. You'll learn how to request an absentee ballot. It's now easier than ever. If you choose to vote by absentee ballot, we'll tell you how to avoid the most common mistakes, which would cause your ballot to be flagged for curing. That means correction. And how you can return the ballot both by mail or in the secured ballot boxes, which are now located through the county, including every one of the 15 GCPL branches. We'll show you how to contact and what you need to do if there's any issues. Let's get started. So, what is the difference between advance in-person and absentee by mail? The advance in-person voting and early voting, you will vote in person using a voting machine at any of the 9 advanced voting locations in the county between October 12th and October 30th. The hours of operation vary, but most, if not all, will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. For a list of those locations, you will visit the Gwinnett County Board of Elections website. We've also linked a document at the end of this program with a list of resources. You will need a government issue ID or a voter for identification card, which you can get at the Board of Elections office. If you choose not to vote in person, but you would like to cast your ballot by paper ballot, you will need to apply for an absentee ballot. You can do so now because they have already started to mail them out. When it arrives and after you complete it, you can choose to either put it in the U.S. mail or you can place it in a secured ballot box at any of the 15 Gwinnett County Library branches between now and November 3rd. Or you can deliver it at any of the advanced voting locations between October 5th through the 30th. The absentee ballot is an awesome choice if you have registered to vote using the GJAC address at 75 Langley Drive as your address. Your address is not fixed within a county. You can drop your absentee ballot at any of the ballot boxes which are spread throughout the county. Your absentee ballot will be mailed to you at your mailing address, which you would have put on your registration form. But remember, in order to do that, you will need to either have a government issue ID or voter ID card. Why are you seeing the Georgia My Voter page again? Because when you've been registered to vote, you can check out your registration status. You can find out where advanced voting locations and times are. You can print out an application for an absentee ballot, which you would mail off. There's even a link to the online application, which you could fill out immediately. You would enter in your information next to the red one at the upper right-hand corner. It will take you directly to all your information needs. If you want to go directly to the portal to request an absentee ballot online, type in ballotrequests.sos.ga.gov into the URL. When you see this screen, you'll click the Request Absentee Ballot, which we've indicated with the red arrow. You'll need 5 pieces of information. First, your first name. Second, your last name. Third, date of birth. Fourth, your driver's license or government issued ID. And finally, fifth, your county of residence. Once the information has been entered, which matches your voter registration, you will see a screen that looks like this. Following the red arrows to the right-hand side, we'll go over the form. In the upper left, you'll see a permanent address followed by your mailing address, if you entered it in the registration form. If you do have a different mailing address listed, you can click on the mailing address on file. For the type of ballot for November 3rd's election, you don't need to do anything because it's a general election. It's not a primary or a runoff. Your phone number should be entered as a string of numbers, no hyphens. You can receive a confirmation by email as well. As an important point, if you are over 65, physically disabled, or active duty military overseas, you can request that you automatically receive an absentee ballot for every election this cycle if you check the box. But everyone else needs to reapply every election. Don't forget to check the box that certifies that the information in the form is true and accurate. Then click Submit. Many people have questions about the absentee ballot, and if you want to view the full list of questions and answers, you can pause this video anytime and use your phone to scan the QR code, which will take you to the list. Here are some important facts about the absentee ballots. First, if you decide to mail it, the envelope must be postmarked by November 3rd, and it has to be received no later than 3 days after the election. The signed and sealed envelope must be returned to any advanced voting location or any ballot box, including the ones at the Gwinnett County Public Library locations. No completed absentee ballot will be accepted at the polling places on November 3rd. But if you decide to vote in person on that day, you will need to bring your absentee ballot with you and surrender it at the polls. If you requested but not received the absentee ballot, you must fill out a special form to request that the ballot be canceled. The U.S. Postal Service has sent out a postcard advising that you request the ballot no later than 15 days before the election, which would be October 19th, and that you mail the ballot at least 7 days before the election, which would be October 27th. Which brings us to the most important takeaways for absentee voting. Reasons why absentee ballots may be flagged as needed to be cured or corrected. Number 1, failure to fill out the ballot correctly. If you're supposed to fill out in an oval, make sure you fill out the entire oval. Read over the ballot and make sure you have filled out all the required fields. Number 2, for an absentee ballot, there are 2 envelopes. The first is for the ballot itself, but the outer envelope is where you would sign with your official signature, the name under which you've registered. Number 3, if you are mailing the absentee ballot, the post office is recommending that you allow 15 days before the election. If it is postmarked by November 3rd and it arrives no later than 3 days after the election, it will be counted. But in Gwinnett County, there are absentee ballot drop boxes in all 15 branches of the Gwinnett County Public Library, in addition to those at the Parks and Recreational Activity Centers, for a total of 19. Just make sure they are in the drop box by November 3rd. And last, in number 4, if you're mailing your absentee ballot, make sure to put the correct amount of postage on it, or it may be returned to you to add more, which may be late. Here's a comprehensive flow chart to help you streamline and visually plan your voting journey. In this part, we'll be covering how to vote portions of the flow chart. You can type in the link on the screen to access the entire flow chart. Let's take a look at the next step. After you've determined if you're eligible to vote and you're successfully registered to vote, you want to go to step 3, how can I vote? You have 3 possible options. You can vote by mail, you can vote in person on election day, you can vote in person early. If you're voting by mail, make sure you have requested an absentee ballot before October 30th. You can complete your registrations online through the Secretary of State's online portal. You can fax a paper copy to 678-226-7208 or email absentee@gwinnettcounty.com. You can return it in person to Gwinnett County's Board of Voter Registration and Elections office. Once you received your absentee ballot, please be sure to fill out and sign your absentee ballot according to the instructions provided. A failure to fill out your ballot correctly could cause your ballot to not be counted. You can drop off your ballot at any of the GCPL locations in our Dropbox. If you're voting in person, either on election day or advance, make sure you keep an update on your polling locations through the My Georgia Voter page. Remember that election day is November 3rd. Thank you for joining us today. Next week, in the conclusion to our series, Part 3, Researching the Candidates and Going to the Polls, which will go live October 1st. Until next time.